Welcome to SecretEntourage.com. Today we have the pleasure of talking with world-famous import drag racer Kenny Tran and also owner and founder of JoTech Motorsports. So welcome, Kenny. Glad to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So, you come... I've been trying to connect with you for a while because you have a very interesting story. And from what I understand, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you started JoTech Motorsports back in 1994. Is that correct?
Yeah, we started back in '94. Matter of fact, it's right down the street from here. It's within walking distance, and we moved around about 3 times now, and now we came back exactly pretty much where we started.
Okay, so JoTech is definitely different today than what it was when you first started it. Certainly it's changed a lot and tremendously because of the industry. Can you walk our viewers that maybe don't know much about yourself into your background before you kind of started getting into cars?
Well, a lot of us started back in the '90s, early '90s, primarily working on Hondas and Acuras because you have the Hondas and Acura movement from California, and it's starting to spread towards the east, and then to us. And back then, I have to say, there's no way for any of us to envision where the market was headed and where it would be today. I mean, 80–90% of our business was in the Hondas and Acuras. It's the type of business that you cater to the underdogs. Kids who were buying cheap cars because the insurance were cheap and they were fairly easy to modify to make power to go up against more powerful cars, V8s and so forth. So with that kind of mentality, it's more like the underdogs going up against the big dogs, and a lot of people like that. They bought into that, and it was something that was cheap and it's easy to modify.
Okay, so that was the beginning back in '94, but why did you even get into that industry? Were you always a fanatic of cars? I mean, was that something you had a passion when you were really a little kid?
Yeah, I've always had a passion for cars when I was little kids, I've always followed all the magazines, all the races, and you have your favorite cars, your dream car that you always wanted to own. So cars were just something, it was just very natural to me. Anything with an engine and with 4 wheels, I've always bought cheap cars, fix them up, resell them, and that's what I did in my high school days.
Okay, so you evolved and you started a shop which was primarily focusing on Hondas and Acuras.
Right.
So, and this was, and I remember because I was actually in that movement back in the day. So that kind of, a lot of shops came about at that time. There was a lot of shops around the S2000s, and these shops came and went, but yet JoTech kind of stayed around. What do you attribute the ability to adapt to your market to? Like, what were some of the key factors that allowed you to do that?
I believe our staying power is primarily through taking care of our customers. I mean, no matter what they wanted, whether we had to change. We had to change with the times because at the time, people wanted to fix up their cars for looks, just for car shows. And then there's a small group out there that wants to race their vehicles. And then once the Fast and Furious came out and so forth, and all these fads that comes and goes, it's kind of like the mini trucks back in the days. Mm-hmm. So you just kind of have to change with the times. So when we first started, we did a lot of cars for shows. There wasn't enough of the pie to go around for you to fix up and modify your car to go fast. But that's where I saw the trends and where everybody was heading was racing. So we started gearing more towards the racing side, more performance, and we kind of dropped that line, and we were just right at we were at the right time where some of these Hondas and Acuras were going, they were breaking the 10 seconds barrier, the 9s, and then the 8s, and then now you're talking about 7s and 6s. So it was just something that as time goes by, all these kids are making more and more money. When I say kids, we're talking about us. We're the same age group, and we just wanted something more. We wanted something that have substance. not just making a car look good, like back in the days when you went to Hot Import Nights or something like that. You saw a slew of cars that just really, I mean, they spent over $50,000-$70,000 on a car to make it look good, but it just doesn't have any substance because the car wasn't fast. It looked fast, but it didn't go fast. So I think that's one of the key thing that helped us stay alive was to provide a product that it has substance. People can use it. People actually can race it. They can actually compete. They can actually go out and find sponsors and say, hey, look at me. You know, I'm top dog. I'm so forth. So that was something that I thought it was really helpful for us.
And was that why you started getting in the drag racing industry? Was it just to back up your shop, or was that a passion personally?
That's a combination of everything. I mean, you're not, and everybody knows that you're not going to make any kind of money in racing unless you're the top tier motorsports like F1, NHRA, NASCAR, and so forth. So a lot of this was just to back up what we do. It's a huge part of it. Yes, it's a passion. It's fun, no doubt about it. I mean, would I do it again? I probably, I would say, financially, I wouldn't do it again, but I wouldn't change anything. I mean, it helped us. We learned a lot from our motorsports program, and through that, I think it really helped out with us working on cars, or customers' car, giving them the advice and the do's and don'ts in the business.
So why race a Scion? Why not something else? Like, why not get into the almost exotic market, like in terms of GTRs and cars like that? Was there a branding aspect behind that, or just something that came about?
Well, at the time, I would have to say the front wheel drive drag racing was very popular. The cars, there were just more of them, and we picked, and actually, it's a match made for us because during that time we were struggling with the Honda program. We were looking for Honda sponsorship and so forth, and we met up with Scion, and it was a really good deal for both of us to combine our efforts and went racing and help each other promote our companies and products and get our name out there. And it was a big deal because the Scions, when they first came out, they couldn't keep enough of them in the showroom floor. So it was a really popular car. So at that time, it wasn't the right time to jump into the exotic cars market because nobody was really had the funding to do it. Nope, the cars were just way too expensive to modify. So the secondary market it just wasn't ready.
So after the Honda and Acura market, you pretty much went over the Toyota market. Well, what ended up happening next that shifted your brand towards the exotic car market and the higher end imports?
I think during that time, the majority of our clientele there were graduating. They were getting older. They graduated from college. They're going out, getting good jobs, making more money. They have a family, so a lot of them went with either a Tahoe or a BMW M3 or a Nissan 350Z. So now that whole entire group is graduating. They're moving to the next more expensive cars. So it was a natural progression for us to start dipping into cars that were in the 30s and 40s at that time. So 350Z, Toyota Supra, Mitsubishi Evo, Acura NSX. So it was a very slow progression. We kind of just feel around, just buying a few cars here and there, test them out. Let's see how people respond. If they like the way we worked on them, if they like the way the car respond, and if the car is a really good platform, if it's a stock platform. Because with racing the Hondas and some of these 4-cylinders, we just learn a lot from it. That you just really don't start working on a car that are not built and designed for it. Like I said, I did a lot of things that I would change, but it's you can't